Hello everybody, Naughty Nana does. How's everybody doing today? We got little Finch up there. Look at that. Having a wee snack. There's a bunch in the trees. Can you hear them? I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, I am going to turn this around. Hello. How you doing? Told you I'd be back. It is Friday still. And I'm still welcoming all my newcomers and everybody else. Hangers on. Mwah. Love you. Okay, let's get into this. It's Friday, so it's garbage day somewhere, like I said. So on most days, RFK is an anti-vaxxer. Unless, of course, Trump tells him otherwise. In that case, he says things like, well, kids should get measles vaccine, but only with parents' consent. Well, usually when they're getting the measles vaccine, they're really young and they're minors and they don't have anybody but their parents to get that for them. So there's that. He has changed his stance up and down the aisle so many times, nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. But he said it should be up to the parents. And although his kids and grandkids have all been vaccinated, including himself. Just saying. So they have done all that stuff, but he says, don't pay any attention to me. I'm not a doctor. Well, you're not anything else either. You say you're a lawyer. Why don't you go do that? Go do that. There are now 30 states that have measles outbreaks, when a disease like that was all but eradicated 25 years ago. It was totally eradicated in the United States in the year 2000, but not no more. Now there are thousands of cases of measles instead of maybe 50 or 60. This all started since the Trump lump got in there and it was COVID and no anti-vaxxers and all the rest of the stuff. That's when people quit vaccinating their kids, and that's why this is getting to be a common occurrence, and more kids are going to die because of it. But do they care? I don't think so. Whooping cough has just killed 2 babies, and more kids and adults are getting whooping cough now. So RFK Jr. and Leon the Dojebag cut 20,000 jobs from healthcare. 3,500 were from the Food and Drug Administration, 1,200 from the National Institutes of Health, and 2,400 from the Centers for Disease Control, and many more from a myriad of diseases that strive to find new healthy ways to keep people alive. New research, new therapies. They research childhood cancers, finding new prosthetic limbs that work better for amputees, people born without limbs. The Washington Post and Politico received a leaked budget that says RFK plans to cut $40 billion to Health and Human Services, the National Institute of Health, and the CDC will see further 40% cuts because he's a prick. Just saying. Programs like anti-smoking, gone. Tobacco companies will be doing a handsome little jig there if they've got the wind power and lung capacity to do it. HIV prevention programs, and did you know that this program pays for itself? Each newly diagnosed person pays up to $500,000 in their lifetime for care and treatment of HIV/AIDS. In 2022 alone, 31,800 people were diagnosed, which is $15.9 billion in costs that patients are paying for their treatment. It pays for itself. CDC cuts include viral hepatitis labs, gone. Hepatitis is a very infectious disease. There's going to be no labs to test for that anymore. Sorry. TB, otherwise known as tuberculosis, which is on the rise in southern states like Florida, along with whooping cough and leprosy, I might add. But all of those places that do those pesky little lab stuff, gone. He's cutting communication and education and behavioral studies branch as well. So if there's an outbreak, you aren't going to know about it. No. STD prevention lab and disease intervention branches, more people will die of gonorrhea and syphilis like it was the 1940s. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. You forget your hard hat today? Don't worry, don't forget it tomorrow though, okay? This means companies can roll back all those rules and regulations, and there's nobody to stand up to it because the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health has been cut. Gone. Nobody keep you safe on the job anymore. Development and Disability, the Disability and Health Promotion Branch, has been disabled, so to speak. The Office of Women's Health, Office of Equity, and the Office of Minority Health. To DEI. Had to go. Women in Equity, it said that, and it's nope, gotta go. The Division of Blood Disorders and Public Health Genomes, like leukemia is a blood cancer. People with clotting disorders, hemophiliacs. Sorry, all those divisions are gone. Now we have the Office of Equal Opportunity and Employment. Well, you know that's too DEI for those guys, right? That would be gone automatically. And he even said, RFK even said it in Congress there. He's going, oh no, it was gone because of DEI. Gone because of DEI. You had no fucking idea what was gone. That was just your excuse. That was on your little checklist, on your script that you were given of acceptable words to say in public, in front of the cameras. Traumatic Brain Injury Team. Bye-bye, la. See you later. The National Centers for Chronic Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, like new treatments for osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, any other chronic pain diseases, stuff like that. Nobody's going to be around to do that no more. I guess I'm going to have to take vitamin A for my fibromyalgia and arthritis. I guess vitamin A is the only treatment allowed. Smoking reduction. I wonder, after that was canceled, did the tobacco stocks go flying up really high on the stock market? Maybe we should have been a bird on that wire. National Centers for Emerging Infectious Diseases like monkeypox and stuff, gone. And there's not going to be anybody there to tell you that they're here either. Discontinuing funding for Lyme disease, chronic fatigue disorders, and one I can't pronounce, but there's a whole bunch of them. Now, the cuts to the FDA are really fun, too. Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee is gone. The Center for Drug Education and Research, like the call centers when you find something, say, like somebody's poisoned with something and you call in, you can't do that no more. Media Affairs is gone. Staff are no longer permitted to talk to any outsiders. So they're getting very militant. So anybody that calls in with any concerns, or a journalist said, I'm doing this story, can you help me with this part of the research? No, sorry, we can't talk to you. You are an outsider. The Freedom of Information Act, what do they call that, FOIA? Gone. Gone, gone, gone. Got to keep those people from finding out all their dirt. So they had to get rid of that one. Cuts to NIH include the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. They hate infectious diseases. So if they don't have anything out there, they don't exist, I guess. The Office of the Director has been gone. The Office of Communications and Government Relations is gone. Office of Minority Health, gone. Because they're going to import up to 2.8 million white South Africans. So minorities are getting plane loaded out while white South Africans are being plane loaded in. The Office of the Head Start Program, Early Childhood Care and Education, lost all of its funding. All of it. So what should you expect with all these cuts and what? The FDA can no longer investigate quality control tests on things like milk and cheese to test for things like bird flu. Can't do that anymore. That will be left up to individual states for all this testing and stuff, because with hurricane season and stuff coming, there's going to be so much money left over for lab testing, I'm sure. All the federal funds are cut, grants cut. So if there's another outbreak like the one they had in 2022 with baby formula, and it all had to be pulled off the shelves, and all the Republicans were screaming that Joe Biden is starving babies because he won't get baby formula, there was a vast disease that went through that place, and they had to take it off because that would have killed the babies. So if you happen to live in a storm-prone state, forget about any of these health regulations, because they're going to be too busy cleaning up after the hurricanes and tornadoes that are coming in just a couple weeks' time. Because FEMA is being gutted as well. They've already fired the chief guy that said he thinks FEMA is a good idea for the federal government to keep. But he was fired like 10 minutes after he left the hearing, formally. There will be no extras for baby formula, so better jury-rig something else. Try carnation milk. That's what I was raised on. Carnation milk, and apparently, was it honey? Or corn syrup. Yes, yes. That's what I was raised on. So try that. Vaccines won't be available, like the mRNA vaccine that is treating patients with pancreatic cancer, because you need a pancreas to live, so it's kind of a deadly cancer. Yeah, mRNA vaccines actually treat those patients, but nope, they're gone. Because it used the forbidden word mRNA, RFK says mRNA vaccines are dangerous, and if any grants or protocols or any funding that has mRNA in it, they're not getting any money. And the ones that have already had stuff done is no longer there. The agency is no longer interested in exploring ways to improve vaccine interest or commitment. So what is that? Is that their version of thinning of the herd? Is that what that is? Because that's what it sounds like to me. People are going to be dying left, right, and center because of all these cuts, and getting rid of organizations that are literally saving people's lives and quality of what life they have left. What is not mentioned, however, is that mRNA vaccines can be developed faster because they already have the DNA chain to that. And they just go through the genome sequence and they find whatever little fix that they need out of that, and they tweak that, and they have a very effective vaccine. That happened during COVID virus because the COVID virus kept mutating and getting worse and getting stronger. So egg-based vaccines take longer to create. They take a lot longer. They're a lot more expensive to make. And a little side note to that is some people that have egg allergies can't have that vaccine because they're allergic to eggs. And it's the same thing with some forms of epilepsy. They can't use that vaccine because it will give them seizures. So the other one is all, I don't want to say chemical, but non-egg based, yeah? Drug development will be slowed, like new cancer drugs for kids. Funding from the NIH totaled $187 billion and contributed to 354 out of 356 drugs, or roughly 99.4% of all the drugs created. And were approved from 2010 to 2019. RFK Jr. says these drugs are an extravagant waste, even though the return is $2.56 for each dollar spent on these drugs. For every $1, they get back $2.56. NIH has abruptly canceled funding for many clinical drugs, trials, and treatments, and most of the leaders at the NIH were fired. So there is nobody there to sign off on these grants. They're gone. And nobody's looking for them to bring them back either. But yeah, so that just leaves people on these drug trials and treatments. They're leaving those patients to die. Usually, when there's a trial that people are on, that means every other avenue has been exhausted and the other treatments didn't work. This is a last-ditch effort to keep these people alive and comfortable. And too bad for those funds Congress already approved with nobody to sign for it. So what are they going to do with that money? Do they just hand that over to Trump in a little brown envelope? Is that what they're going to do with that? So RFK can vitamin A himself back to hell. That's what he can do. And if he wants to swim in sewage with his grandkids, that would be another perfect reason to send him back to hell. Because that man is an evil son of a bitch who has gone around the world hurting people most of his adult life, including himself, because he is an ex-heroin addict. But drug treatment programs, forget that. Because when he went, it was $256,000 to get him off of heroin, and he went 3 times. Good job he was a Kennedy, right? But he said, oh, there's much more affordable ones, like $40,000 a month. You look at your neighbor there and see how many of them are making $40,000 a year between the 2 spouses. Never mind $40,000 a month for drug treatment. But yeah, he says it's so affordable now. For who? And that's the same thing with every son of a bitch out there that wants this big, beautiful budget that the Mango Moose Knuckle wants. All those people that are going for that budget are all multimillionaires and billionaires and could give 2 fucks for anybody else. Just saying. Anyway, Naughty Nana loves you. Be good, be safe. Please take care of you first. I hope you enjoyed your cup of tea. I certainly did. So now it's going to be time to go pick up my daughter. I love you. Please take care of you first so you'll be able to be around to take care of somebody else. Don't forget your vitamin A. Anyway, Naughty Nana loves you. Be good, be safe. Mwah. Love ya.